In this week's discussion, a student posed the following question: is it more important to be respected, or is it more important to be liked? This topic touches on a vital philosophical question that lies in the background of much of what we will read this semester. And that question is, how should a human life be lived? In order to determine whether we should value other people's respect or whether we should hope that others will like us, we must have in mind some conception of the human good. Our question about the relative importance of being liked and respected can only be answered with reference to some broader conception of what makes a human life go well. The first thing that we should notice is that both liking and respecting are positive attitudes taken toward another person. Given this, we might be tempted to answer, why should we choose? Why not pursue both being liked and being respected? This would, of course, be an ideal scenario since both of these are certainly desirable. However, our present question forces us to choose, and I think there is good reason for this. While it is possible to be both liked and respected, there are also certain inherent features of liking and respecting that often require us to sacrifice one if we are going to pursue the other. If we want to be liked, that might only be possible at the expense of being respected, and vice versa. In order to see this, we need a clearer conception of just what it means to be liked and to be respected. And let's begin with the latter. There are multiple senses of the concept of respect, but what I will be concerned with here is the feeling of admiration we have for another's achievements, accomplishments, or abilities. We respect athletes for their physical capability, groundbreaking scientists for their intellectual acumen, and elementary school teachers for their patience. Respect is also sometimes used to refer to an attitude that we take toward a powerful force capable of threatening us. For instance, someone might have respect for the law, but in this case the question is, why does this person respect the laws? If she respects them because she respects the democratic process that produced them, or maybe sees them as necessary for the flourishing of her community, then it would seem appropriate to say that she has real respect for the law. Suppose, however, that she thinks, rightly or wrongly, that the current laws are unjust and oppressive. In that case, if she claims to respect those laws, then she really just means that she plans to follow them in order to avoid punishment. This person might be afraid of the consequences of breaking the law, but they don't really see the law as beneficial or just in itself. In this case, it would be more accurate to characterize this attitude toward the law as that of fear rather than respect. So, what we are concerned with here is not just the deference that another person might pay to us out of fear. This is merely the pseudo-respect given to tyrants and oppressors. Rather, what we mean here is the sort of genuine admiration given to those with legitimate and impressive accomplishments. Liking, on the other hand, is a more subjective attitude. We are liked by another person when that individual expresses some preference for some quality that we have or happens to be fond of us. Just like with respect, a person could like us for our accomplishments, but they could also like us because of our attractiveness, possessions, reputation, maybe because we share some common interests, or just because they find us enjoyable to be around. Having clarified the nature of liking and respecting, let's now consider why pursuing one might come at the expense of the other. First, notice that there are situations in which a person can be both disliked and respected at the same time. In fact, there are situations where a person can be both liked and respected at the same time for the same reason. This is seen most readily in the context of competition. When someone is defeated in an athletic contest, they might have all manner of negative emotions toward their opponent: dislike, jealousy, resentment, or even anger. These are all natural emotions to feel after a tough loss. However, in many sports, it is customary to shake hands with your opponent after the game is over. And this practice creates an interesting juxtaposition. During this handshake, we need not suppose that the previously mentioned negative emotions have suddenly disappeared. On the contrary, these emotions can linger for some time. Depending on the significance of the game, these emotions might last to some degree for a person's entire life. So, the post-game handshake is not meant to signify that the losing side no longer harbors dislike or resentment. Rather, this practice is an expression of respect. In the case of the losing side, it shows respect for the superior skill and playing ability of the winning team, the qualities, abilities, and accomplishments that we find worthy of admiration in an athletic context. The losers may not like the winners in that moment, but ideally they will be able to step back from their own personal emotions and recognize the legitimately praiseworthy accomplishments of their rivals. Similarly, a justly convicted criminal might be able to recognize the fairness of the judge's sentence despite not liking that he has to serve it. We should now be able to see how the desire for respect may conflict with the desire to be liked. We become worthy of respect on account of our accomplishments. Yet those very same accomplishments and abilities may, in some cases, bring about the enmity and dislike of other people. And this is not only true in the realm of athletic competition. This brings us back to the question which I suggested lies in the background of this discussion. What does it mean to live a good human life? As we will read about this semester, the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates famously remarked that the unexamined life is not worth living. For the moment, we can say that in his view, a life worthy of a human being is one in which we critically examine our actions and pursue a life of virtue. In living such a life, we would want to be admired for our moral virtue, our honesty, integrity, courage, self-restraint, generosity, and justice, among many other morally good qualities. And as before, these are qualities which others may be able to respect in us, even if these same qualities also make them dislike us. A classmate who wants to cheat off of our work might be disappointed and even angry with us if we refuse to cooperate. But in a moment of calmer reflection, this same classmate might also be able to respect our moral integrity. We will see this semester that it was Socrates' commitment to living a virtuous, examined life that caused him to be executed by the city of Athens. His commitment to philosophy and virtue made many people in power dislike him, and it ultimately cost him his life. In the short term, Socrates' commitment to knowledge over ignorance and virtue over vice earned him scorn and dislike. At the same time, the very fact that we still read about him today, over 2,000 years after his death, speaks to the respect and admiration he has earned from posterity. So, as suggested at the beginning, what we think about the relative merits of being liked and being respected will ultimately depend upon what we really think matters in a human life. If we place ultimate importance on reputation, honor, and wealth, then we will need to seek the approval of others and get others to like us. In doing so, we will have to be aware of how pursuing virtue might be offensive or off-putting. And the worry here is that we will make ourselves subject to the capricious preferences, emotions, and desires of other people. However, if, like Socrates, we think that virtue is the highest good of human life, then we should desire something very different. We should desire the respect of others, and in fact, more than that, we should desire to be the sort of person who is worthy of respect. Specifically, someone who is worthy of respect on account of moral virtue and the pursuit of human excellence.